Hello, everyone. I'm sure some of you are wondering what I would be doing since I'm no longer going to be foster parenting. So, one of the things I'm going to be doing here really soon is I'm actually going to be taking you guys to Tijuana through video, and I'm going to go ahead and just show you some of the poor that I've helped down there in the past. I lived there for 10 months, and it's one of the things that fed into my desire to even foster parent in the first place. So I have a trip planned down there here soon. I'm gonna go ahead and just be taking you guys there by video and just showing you some of the areas and some of the poor people I had worked with. So I wanted to go ahead and give you some backdrop into that, which is my first time going down to Tijuana was with a mission trip to help out the orphans down there. And that trip, it was one of those you paid and you go with a group and they did a bunch of construction work just helping out. There was one that the charity kind of funded a sort of group home type of a deal, and then there was another one that was owned by a religious group, religious organization, and they helped out there too with some construction work that needed done. So during that trip, which is a week long trip, we went down from Idaho, driving down to, of course, San Diego, then into Tijuana. And then they had some places where we could spend the night while we were there for that entire week. That was a very eye opening trip because it was my first time into Mexico, first of all. And then on top of that, just seeing the orphan environment, everything else, there's a huge amount of learning that went into it. And honestly, there's a lot more to that trip, a lot more to what I saw and what I learned than what I can convey into a short video. Um, I met a priest at one of the orphanages that actually invited me back down there, which is part of why I started to have a continued relationship with the people down there in the area where this particular priest worked at was in one of the poor areas of Tijuana. So, to my understanding, to my understanding now, that particular area has developed a lot since I lived down there. And I know every time I've gone down, I haven't gone down because of COVID, so it's been about 2 years. So, it'd be a lot of new things for me. But every time I have gone down, it seems like there's new stores, new paved streets, new development, and so there's a lot of expansion. It might not be as poor anymore. I don't know. There's some rough areas down there though, including that area called Villas del Tren, which is the area where along the railroad tracks it's technically government owned, but people have just planted down some, just put together shack kind of houses, and those are the poorest people. And so along that strip, along the area, there's two people I know that were murdered. There's a lot of drug issues, a lot of I'm sure there's plenty of abusive kids. I've heard of someone had to deal with some stuff along there. A lot of stressful things. And that's all the kind of precursor before I even became a foster parent. So I'll go ahead and take you down there here soon just so you guys can see it and see what kind of things develop my sort of outlook on life and my mentality of why I would even want to, with my conditions, even want to work with kids or foster kids and this type of a thing. The other thing too that opened my eyes to, and it's something I still struggle with now because there's a lot of places I've been, a lot of things I've seen, a lot of ways in which I want to help, and so I'll just say this particular group when I went down there just so happened to be my particular trip when I went down when DIF. So it's DIF is the Council of Health and Welfare for Mexico. They decided that for this particular charity they had kind of a group home type of thing with I think it was like 5 kids or somewhere around there. And they decided to remove the kids from the home and they had their reasons for it. There's issues like they said they want a fire extinguisher, or they wanted, alarms in certain places. They want, all these different sort of rules that they want followed. And so they just took the kids from the home and said, fix it. And it took a while before they were willing to put the kids back. So obviously the system works differently there than here. Here they wouldn't just remove them and then say fix it. Honestly, they wouldn't even license you unless you had it there in the first place. So just a kind of, but it was obviously a stressful thing for that organization, and they had us write letters, and so that happened to be my day to write the letter. Was the day that DIF took away those kids from their home, and so they didn't want me writing anything about it, which I have mixed thoughts about it, because on the one side there's that element of you feel like you're being dishonest to a certain extent, but on the other hand you see where they're a charity and they want people to keep giving donations, and their concern is you talk about problems and then also people don't want to make donations, and so that's kind of the struggle I sometimes have in my mind, and you might see as I do this kind of stuff is, I have a mentality of I always want to help, right? Just because I've decided I'm done with the foster care system, at least for now, it doesn't mean I'm going to just stop helping. I'm going to take you guys to Tijuana. I'm going to help some people down there. I'm going to show you guys just, what kind of things do help, what kind of things I did. But, it's not going to end there. There's lots of other stuff I want to do, and in some ways I try and find the means to have the time, the financial resources, etc. Like for example, this image right there. I actually made that. So I'm trying to start a business making stuff like that. So that's one of the means in which I try and say, hey, if I can make a business, I can make stuff like that, right? Well, then I can have free time because it's kind of on my own schedule. I can dictate when I make stuff, when I don't, and sell it, and get the financial resources. It's a huge sort of experiment, right? Life's an experiment. These videos, they're kind of experiment, but as long as it's aimed towards helping people, it's aimed towards something good, for me, that's the whole point of life, the whole, having, a life that's worthwhile, a life that's valuable is, you don't have the answers, you figure them out. So, anyway, I just want to let you guys know that you will be getting some videos here soon from Mexico, and when I'm there, just my personality. I love working on the kids, with the kids, helping them with the youth, young people. It's always been the group I am drawn towards, so you'll get a bit of that. There's kind of three main areas I worked with when I was down there. So there's three main areas were Albergue Las Memorias, which is like they help people with drug addictions, and they also help people with HIV. A lot of people down there who have the drug addictions will also have HIV just because they're recycling needles, and so they'll end up with HIV. And then Villas del Tren, and there's Commodore El Nino that I spent a lot of time with down there. There was a lot of issues that happened down there during my time down there, so I have to just kind of keep an eye out on stuff, just make sure my help is actually helpful, because it's a poor community and there's plenty of issues, there's plenty of abuse problems, everything else that goes on, so just be cautious. But I helped along there a lot, and then also there's a parish that I helped out with a lot, and they had different like a community center where I could teach English or teach computers or stuff like that, and so I just volunteer time there. So there's a number of things that are down there that I used to do, and there's plenty of things where I can open my eyes more and see more. So hopefully you guys will find that interesting, and hopefully that'll be just a good transition from some of these foster care videos I've made. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.